Hello everyone. I, Dr. Narendra Pariyar, Assistant Professor, on the behalf of Progressive Education Society's Modern College of Pharmacy Nigdi, welcome you all again. After we have seen the general pharmacology or the introductory part, now let's move on to the pharmacokinetics. So, pharmacokinetics, it is derived from two words, pharmacon, that we have already seen the drug, kinesis means the movement. So in short, what body does to the drug? So it is the movement of a drug in the body. So it is again divided into as a absorption, distribution, metabolism, elimination. We can't say divided, but it is a process. So it is ADME. Remember always it's ADME, absorption, distribution, metabolism and elimination. So all these process involve movement of drug molecule through various biological membranes, and these membranes are made up of a lipid layer. So let's first see the membranes. Okay, biological membrane. Biological membrane, it is a bilayer of phospholipid and cholesterol. Molecules drug are transported across the membranes by the first passive diffusion. Passive diffusion, it is a bidirectional process. The drug molecule move from high concentration to low concentration until the equilibrium is attained. Okay, as you can see in the picture, rate of diffusion is directly proportional to concentration gradient of membrane, and it does not require any energy. For example, lipid soluble drugs passes through the passive diffusion of process. Second, we will see the filtration. It depends on the molecular size and weight of the drug. If the drug molecules are smaller than the pores, they are filtered easily through the membrane. As you can see in the picture, first one was the passive diffusion, like from higher concentration to the lower concentration, drug moves. And in the filtration, if the molecule size is smaller than the pores, they easily get filtered to the membrane. Okay. Next, specialized transport. It is again classified into two types, that is active transport and facilitated diffusion. In active transport, transportation from lower concentrate to higher concentration against concentration of gradient. So transportation of a drug molecule from lower concentration to higher concentration against the concentration gradient. For example, transport of the sympathomimetic amine into the neural tissue. Second, facilitated diffusion. It is a carrier mediated transport, does not require energy. Drug attaches to a carrier in the membrane which facilitates its diffusion across the membrane. Transport from higher concentration to the lower concentration. So for example, transport of glucose across the muscle cell membrane by transporter, that is carrier GLUT4. Okay, as you can see in the picture, from higher concentration to the lower concentration of drug concentration gradient. Okay, see the transparent of the protein carrier changes the shape to facilitate the entry and exit of some nutrients. So now come to the point of the pharmacokinetics. First we will see the absorption of the drug. As we have seen, the movement of drug from the site of administration to the bloodstream. Okay, for example, when we swallow a drug, it gets into disintegration makes it the solution, then it releases the drug into the blood, then it bonds to the protein, and then the biotransformation means we can say it is a metabolism. Then after metabolism, the remaining metabolites are get excreted. Okay, now after swallowing the drug, which are the factors that affect the drug absorption? First, the physiochemical properties of the drug, that is the physical state, like liquid form of the drug is better absorbed than the solid formulation, because solid formulations, they have to get into the process of disintegration, then they get transformed into solution, then they get the absorption process. Second, lipid soluble and unionized form of the drug is better absorbed than the water soluble and ionized form. Third, size of the particle or the drug molecule. Drug with the smaller particle size are absorbed better than the larger ones. Then disintegration time. It is the time taken for the formulation to break up into the small particle, and its variation may affect the bioavailability. As I said before also, tablets or the solid formulations, if they take the time to get disintegration and then dissolution, therefore the liquid form of drug is better absorbed than the solid formulation. Now dissolution time, it is the time taken for the particles to go into solution. For shorter the time, better is the absorption. Next is the formulation. Pharmacologically, inert substances like lactose, starch, calcium, sulfate, gum, etc. are added to the formulation as a binding agent. These are not totally inert and may affect the absorption of the drug. For example, calcium reduces the absorption of tetracycline. Now, second factor is a route of drug administration. So, from which route the drug has been administered is also the factor which affect the absorption of the drug. As you can see, the drug administered by the intravenous route bypasses the process of absorption as it directly enters the circulation. The some drugs are highly polar compounds, ionized in solution and are not absorbed through GI tract, hence are given parenterally. For example, gentamicin. And drugs like insulins are administered parenterally because they are degraded in the GID tract on oral administration. Third factor, pH and ionization, pH of the drug, like for example molecule. So strongly acidic and strongly basic drugs usually remain ionized at all pH, hence they are poorly absorbed. Next is the food, like before taking the medication, which food we have consumed or which food is available in the stomach for the absorption is also depend on the factors which affect the drug absorption. So presence of food in the stomach can affect the absorption of some of the drugs. Food decreases the absorption of rifampicin, levodopa, etc. Hence they should be taken on empty stomach for better effect. Milk and milk products decreases the absorption of tetracycline. Fatty meal increases the absorption of griseofulvin. So it all depends on which food or which type of food you have consumed. Next, presence of the other drugs. For example, if the patient is suffering from concomitant diseases, like you have 1 to 2 more problems or diseases, then he might be having a polypharmacy prescription. Polypharmacy prescription is having more than 5 drugs at the same time. So concurrent administration of 2 or more drugs may affect their absorption. So for example, ascorbic acid increases the absorption of oral iron, antacid reduces the absorption of tetracycline. Next is a pharmacogenetic factor. Genetic factor may influence drug absorption. In pernicious anemia, vitamin B1 is not absorbed from the gut due to lack of intrinsic factor. Next, area of the absorbing surface. Normally, drugs are better absorbed in the small intestine because of a larger surface area. Resection of the gut decreases absorption of drugs due to reduced surface area. And last, gastrointestinal and other diseases. Like in gastroenteritis, there is an increased peristaltic movement that decreases drug absorption. In achlorhydria, absorption of iron from the gut is reduced. And in CCF, that is congestive cardiac failure, there is gastrointestinal mucosal edema that reduces absorption of drugs. So after the drug absorption, the important point is the bioavailability. So let's see what is bioavailability. Bioavailability, it is the fraction of drug that reaches systemic circulation from a given dose. For example, IV route of drug administration gives 100% bioavailability because it is directly enters into the circulation. So if two formulations of the same drug produce equal bioavailability, they are said to be a bioequivalent. Means if two drugs are simultaneously taken by the patient and they produce equal bioavailability, means they give the 100% of the viability or maybe 60% of viability, they are said to be bioequivalent. And simultaneously, if they differ in their bioavailability, they are said to be the bioinequivalent. Remember, bioequivalent and bioinequivalent. Okay. Now there are factors which affect the absorption. So there will be some factors which affect the bioavailability of the drug also. The same factors which affect the drug absorption are same for the bioavailability, and others are like first pass metabolism. Okay, first pass metabolism, it is defined as when drugs are administered orally, they have to pass via gut wall, portal vein, and then liver, and then systemic circulation. During this passage, certain drugs get metabolized and are removed or inactivated before they reach the systemic circulation. So this process is known as a first pass metabolism. The result is a decreased bioavailability of the drug and diminished therapeutic response. Drugs like lignocaine, isoprenaline, etc. So now let's see what are the consequences of high first pass metabolism. First, drugs which undergoes extensive first pass metabolism are administered parenterally. For example, lignocaine is administered IV in ventricular arrhythmias. Dose of drug required for oral administration is more than that given by other systemic routes. Second factors which affecting the bioavailability of the drug is hepatic diseases. So every drug gets metabolized, or you can say biotransferred in the liver, or you can say it is a hepatic, if there is a hepatic diseases, it may affect the drug metabolism. So they result in a decrease in drug metabolism, thus there is a increasing the bioavailability of the drugs that undergo first pass metabolism. For example, propranolol and lignocaine. And last is the enterohepatic cycling. It increases the bioavailability of the drugs, example morphine and doxycycline. Okay, so here we have seen the first parameter of the drug absorption of the pharmacokinetics. We have seen the biological membranes also. So here we have ended with the pharmacokinetic parameters of the drug. Now in the next we will see the pharmacodynamic parameters which are included in the drug when a human consume a medicine. Okay, thank you.